Hello, we're just here now to go and have a phone interview with Siôn Simon, the Labour mayoral candidate for #WMLX17. Let's go do that. So first question is, tell us about your background and why politics?
I grew up in the West Midlands, and I didn't grow up in a political family. My parents weren't party political in any way, but it was a very kind of social family. We were, I grew up believing that we should all be looking after each other and concerned with other people, and my parents would be helping people and looking after the old lady down the road and that sort of thing. And I think that's the bit of the background that made me. I don't made me political. I don't remember not being political from a very young age. I've always been basically Labour.
Awesome, thank you. I'll just get my next question. So you talked a little bit about you being living in the West Midlands for your whole life. But what's your connection with the West Midlands? Why have you sort of stuck around, and why are you proud to be part of the West Midlands culture, really?
Well, I grew up here, from here, I live here, and I am very proud of the West Midlands. I think it's an amazing place. I think we don't celebrate ourselves enough, and a lot of the time I think we've lost the pride these days that I grew up with in the 1970s in the West Midlands. But this is where we built the first steam engines that changed the whole face of the world, and the first iron bridge and the Spitfires that won the war, where even now in the West Midlands we are leading the world in developing the next generation of battery and electric car technology that will be the next generation of automotive. That's who we are, engineering genius, but not only engineering creativity, but actually this is the region of Shakespeare, the most important cultural figure in the history of Western civilization, and George Eliot, the greatest English novelist, and Elgar, that quintessential pastoral English composer, and Tolkien, the extraordinary global imagination that came out of the West Midlands, and heavy metal music that started in the Black Country and in Birmingham and has travelled throughout the whole world, and ska music from Coventry, and a world-class symphony orchestra, and world-class dance and more Punjabi music made in the West Midlands than in Punjab. That is who we are. That's our region. That's why I'm proud to be here, and it's why I want to try and help us put the pride back.
Brilliant, thank you. So, a little bit of a less serious question, but just as important. What's your favourite local culinary delicacy?
My favourite local culinary delicacy is a toss-up between homemade roti and pork scratchings.
Pork scratchings, great. So, how are you ensure? So, I'm a young person. I'm 17. I work with various organisations such as the UK Youth Parliament, Student Voice UK, and also I am on the management committee for the Dudley Youth Council. So I do a lot of work around youth representation. How will you ensure that young people's issues are fairly represented?
One of the things I would like to do to that end is to look at whether we can have a young person representative sitting on the board of the West Midlands Combined Authority. I think that board needs to be much wider and more inclusive than it currently is. And I think a young person there, as of right, would have a really useful contribution to make.
Brilliant, thank you. So, with our local authorities struggling to keep up with the financial demand of social care, does that mean youth services will see further cuts?
I do hope not. Youth services have been so badly affected by government cuts over the last 7 years of the Conservative government that in many places it seems like there's hardly any youth services we need to do is find ways to start rebuilding and reinvesting in young people, for not just for the young people themselves, but actually the whole of our society. We need younger people to be better engaged, higher skilled, and able to really use their full potential.
So yeah, obviously the youth services, you're correct, quite rightly, that they have been detrimentally affected by budget cuts. But how would you protect them?
I think what we need to do is not even in terms of protecting them, but in terms of building them up. So, for instance, I've pledged a new £1 million fund with the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner David Jameson to invest in finding new and constructive activities for younger people across the West Midlands. Get in just the way that youth services used to do before the cuts of the last 7 years. People complain that they see young people hanging about on the street corners, but what they don't always understand is that very often for younger people, there's nothing else to do, there's nowhere else to go, and we need to invest in giving younger people places to go, things to do, which are constructive and developmental.
Brilliant. Okay, so do you feel that young people are educated enough in politics in regards to what or who they are really voting for?
I think that actually the whole of our whole society is often doesn't get very good information, good quality information about politics. There's a lot of kind of nastiness and unpleasantness and disinformation. I think we would all benefit from some a higher quality information and a more respectful study.
Brilliant. Okay. So would you support teaching politics to some degree in West Midlands schools?
I think the thing that I'd really like to see us do more of schools is teach more of a sense of our own, the history of our own region and our culture and uniqueness and diversity, and I'd like us to have a specifically West Midlands component to what people learn in West Midlands schools.
So you would or would not support teaching politics to some degree in West Midlands schools?
I don't think that teaching politics would be my top priority. I think teaching, if I was to add something to an already crowded curriculum, it would be teaching people about the region and trying to help put back some of the pride in the West Midlands.
Okay, cool. So what makes us different to other parts of the UK?
Well, I mean, some of the extraordinary heritage that I just talked about a few minutes ago, there aren't other parts of the UK where they invented the steam engine and the region of Shakespeare and Tolkien and Elgar and Eliot and Jaguar Land Rover and more. We export more than other regions. We export more to China than the whole rest of the United Kingdom put together. We're the manufacturing centre of the UK even now. So we've got, we're a special place and we've got special requirements.
So places like Birmingham used to be called the workshop of the world, a city of 1,000 trades, but trade is changing and so are jobs, and that we young people are already struggling to get. What do you plan to do to make sure there are enough high-value jobs to keep us in the region?
We need to support the high-value employers that we have here already, the Jaguar Land Rovers of the like, and not just in manufacturing, but we've also seen employers like HSBC and Deutsche Bank moving major operations and large numbers of high-quality jobs. I was just talking to Severn Trent. That's an important British company that is based and has almost all of its operations in the West Midlands. So we need to talk to the people who are already generating high-value jobs and learn from them about what they need to make sure that they can continue to do that, and indeed to take it further, and how we could replicate that in other sectors and other parts of the region. We need to invest in skills in order to see that young people get the high-quality jobs. If you talk to engineering employers, their top concern will be their inability to attract a workforce with the kind of skills that they need. And we know that skills levels in the West Midlands are much lower and have been historically than in most of the rest of England, and that they need to be. So we need to invest in education and skills so that our younger people who are talented and full of potential are given the tools to maximise that potential and get the jobs, get the jobs when they are there.
Brilliant. So it wouldn't be 2017 without a question about Brexit. So, good or bad, how do you think Brexit is going to affect young people living in the West Midlands, and how are you going to maximise on opportunities? And please avoid the cliches.
Clearly, it will affect young people in the West Midlands, and what we need to do is, first of all, we need to make sure that we have a West Midlands voice in the negotiations over Brexit. It's clear that we're going to leave the EU. What we need to decide now is, in what way we're going to leave the EU, on what terms and what timescale and so on. And all those decisions, what's best depends partly on what region you're in. What's best for London, with its economy dependent on financial services, is not necessarily what's best for the West Midlands, which is a manufacturing economy and a knowledge economy with a very strong higher education sector, for instance. Currently, the objectives of the British government clearly aren't what would be the top objectives for the West Midlands. They're not focused around manufacturing. They're not prioritising exports to China. They're not particularly interested in protecting the higher education sector. So we need our voice in the negotiations, which we've been told we will have, but we currently don't have. And we need to make sure that the West Midlands special needs are properly represented by the British government. And by doing that, we can get the best deal and maximise the opportunities for young people in the West Midlands.
Okay, so it's no secret that a lot of young people are disenfranchised with politics. Do you blame them?
No, I don't blame them. I think what's important is that young people who do want to engage have the opportunity to do so. And there are lots of programmes and projects that do encourage young people. And I think for a youth parliament, for instance, and those kind of projects. And I think what we can do as we move into regional government is make sure that we are supporting the programs, those kind of programs that exist, and listening to young people about how they want to be engaged with, and listening to them about what they want. I think that's the most important thing we can do, is actually involve young people, talk to them, and above all, listen to them.
Okay, we've got 3 questions from some different people before we go on to our final question. So this is a question by Manjeet from Sandwell. What are your thoughts on the announced wage for the West Midlands Mayor compared to the combined authority CEO, plus it's also less than the Police and Crime Commissioner's wage?
I've said all along, I'm not interested in the wage. That's not why I'm doing it. We'll deal with it when we get the other side of the election, but it's just not my concern. I'll take whatever the wage is.
Okay, question from Sarah from Kings Heath. I know the Labour leadership are fans of using technology to improve government. Your leader, for example, talking about digital technology, digital democracy. Have you got any plans to grow civic technology initiatives in the region?
The short answer is yes. We do have plans of that type, and we'll be enhancing a little bit more detail when I launch my manifesto in probably 2 or 3 weeks' time. But yes.
Brilliant, thank you. And a question by Harry from Dudley. How would you ensure investment flows to places like Dudley when you have big players like Birmingham and Coventry also in the West Midlands?
It's a really good and important point. Gross value added, which is a standard measure of productivity, is and competitiveness is £14,000 a head in Dudley, which is much lower. Not just than the average for the country, but much lower than the rest of the West Midlands region. And we know that while youth unemployment is a real problem across the West Midlands region, it's 15.5% according to Ernst & Young last year. In Wolverhampton, for instance, youth unemployment is 27.5%. So we've got real problems in our inability to spread the relative successes that have sometimes been had. For instance, in the central Birmingham economy, out into the black country boroughs like Dudley, and indeed into out of Birmingham. But that has to be an absolute priority for the regional government. It's almost the whole point of this project. You don't need a regional government in order to generate more jobs in shiny buildings in the centre of Birmingham. But what you do need regional level action for is to make sure that when we do generate more growth and jobs, that gets pushed out to the edges of the metropolitan region and shared amongst all the people. So one of the things, for instance, that I think we need to look at in Dudley is a radically improved education offer. Dudley's the biggest town in England that doesn't have a university, and this again is an area in which I'll be announcing more detailed plans in my manifesto in a few weeks' time.
Okay, finally then, last question. Why should young people and the rest of people in the electorate of the West Midlands vote for you?
Well, the most important thing, actually, is that young people vote. Vote on the 4th of May, vote for the West Midlands, vote to take back control of our own region from London. This is our chance, finally, to start running our own region ourselves. And the most important thing for young people, therefore, to do is get out and vote for somebody, whoever it is. I would say, please do vote for me. I'm the Labour candidate, and I'm Labour because I stand for the basic Labour values of compassion and fairness alongside prosperity and growth.
So that was Siôn Simon, the Labour mayoral candidate for the #WMElects17. Let us know what you think. Was that a good interview, a bad interview? Anything that you did or didn't like him to say, let us know. We can chase that. Just hashtag us, #WMElects17, or contact us on civify.org.